sweater? Yeah, yeah. That's Rose's next in line. Here's a workaround idea. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to the PTRAB winter meeting. My name is Debbie Cote, and I'm the outgoing chair of the PTRAB board. I'd like to, at this moment, introduce our current board members and welcome two new members. We'll start with the current board members. Gene Burris is the new chair. Unfortunately, he's out of the country, and thus he's not here. But I just want to introduce him at any rate. Nancy Shapiro is also a very important member of the board, but she's not able to make it here today. Joyce Shank, to my right, I'm pleased to announce that she is here today and is a very active and important member as well. Michelle Millard, to my left, is also here with us in Snowmass today and is a very vibrant member. Bob Fike is unable to attend, but also is a key member of our board. We have two new members. Charles Hess, who is here. I'd like to welcome you to the board and thank you. Look forward to your contribution. There's one more new member, Stuart Gorenberg. I'm not sure if he's present, but at any rate, I'd like to welcome Stuart as well. Without further ado, I have just a couple of quick announcements for housekeeping purposes. If people could silence their cell phone, that would be really appreciated. We will have, after each speaker, a brief 5-minute Q&A period. If you have a question, in order to have that question broadcast live via the internet, we would ask that you come up to the microphone here, or actually either of the microphones will do, and state your question to the mic so it can be broadcast. If for some reason you forget, we will just repeat the question. But beyond that, I welcome you, and without further ado, would like to go ahead and introduce our first speaker, the Honorable Mayor Marky Butler, who has always been so gracious to give us the village, state of the village, and general town updates. Will also be doing that for us today. Thank you, Marky.
Oh, jeez. Okay, throw money. Good afternoon to every one of you. I hope that everyone has enjoyed the wonderful... Can you hear me? Or I was going to go up there and sit or something, because I don't like to have my back. Are you okay, Madam Chair, if I come up and sit right there by you guys?
Please feel free to.
I get to sit next to the mayor. Oh, boy. Excited. And the seat is adjusted correctly. How are you? Good. Okay, we are going to start. Here? Hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes. You have to speak, I think she said, up close to the mic. You could choke on it. this evening, we are really going to have a wonderful meeting, and I really welcome everyone who is here. But before I start all the hype that I'm going to talk about, I would like all of us to pause for just a few moments of silence. We lost one of our town employees 2 weeks ago. This is Owen Green. I've asked Virginia to come and say a little thing. If you don't know Owen, he was an incredible person. He was one of our major coaches for our high school lacrosse team. And he and his partner unfortunately was taken in an avalanche as they were preparing and training for the hike from Crested Butte back to Aspen that occurs later this month. So with that, Virginia, would you say a few moments, and then we'll pause for a moment of silence in his honor and memory.
Hi, I'm Virginia McNellis. So let's get closer. Okay. We had all kinds of eloquent things prepared for his memorial and for our tourism talk last week, but I just thought I would give you just a little bit of background. I don't know if any of you had the pleasure of meeting Owen, but he was on Team Tourism for the past 3 years, almost to the day. Mm-hmm. And he and I started at the same time. He was our online marketing coordinator for 2.5 years, and then he was promoted into sales. And Owen, you know, he was always striving for that next great thing. He was 27, he really took his love of sports and lacrosse and that discipline and that drive, and he applied it to everything that he did here. And so he was truly a joy to have in the office on a daily basis, and he just always brought such a great smile and such great drive to the table. As Marky said, he was a great lacrosse coach here in the Valley for the high school teams. He was an incredible lacrosse player, and I don't think any of us realized until really his memorial service what an incredible lacrosse player he was, because he kind of kept it under his hat, but he was truly like the star player in college and was really just well respected and well loved. And he had recently gotten into mountaineering and was really excited to be embracing that whole mountain culture. And so it is both absolutely beautiful and such a shame that he is someone who is really hitting his stride. You know, I think we're all very grateful that at the team meeting, the last one that he attended, our staff meeting, we had gotten all this great feedback from his clients on the group sales side. And a lot of them had reached out to us to say how much they appreciated working with him, what great care he took of them, how well he represented Snowmass. And so it just so happened that at that last staff meeting that he was at, we kind of made a big deal out of him, and we really, talked him up, and, we congratulated him for how well, he was doing. It was so nice to see him hit his stride like that. So he was in love. He had recently moved in with his girlfriend. And so I think that when we were all at the memorial service, we kind of imagined we were listening to the speeches that one would give at their wedding. So anyway, I think that's all I can do. We love Owen. He was a fantastic member of the team. If you didn't have the pleasure to meet him, he really represented us well. And it will be, it's very sad to lose a rising star like that. And, we'll miss him.
Thank you very, very much, Virginia. That was beautiful, beautifully said. So let's pause for 30 seconds and think about Owen, his family, and I just hope he's skiing somewhere in the great white beyond. May God bless, and may Owen rest in peace and enjoy a future life in a place that none of us really understand or really know. With that, Virginia, thank you so much. This is one of our stars and a director of marketing sales or marketing, right?
Marketing.
Marketing. So if you've seen some of our new campaigns we have this year, give it up for Virginia.
I'll pass that right
Yeah.
on to the agency. Yeah.
Well, it's the inside out. Yeah. And Travis, our assistant town manager, just does phenomenal work. Make sure you get to know this young man. He's very, very talented and is going a long way in his career. He really takes good care of all of us. So, some updates. I think you all know it's been snowing. Well, let's talk about our town crews. They've already plowed 144 inches of snow this year. That's already 26 inches more than last year, and more snow than the past 5 seasons since 13 and 14. And I think we all know how much snow there is. 53 days of plowable snow, 22 more days of plowing than last year. And tonight we're going to get more snow. It's going to keep coming for the next week and a half for sure. Well, here's this is one little tidbit that I probably have to be cautious about bragging about. I just came back from a meeting in Aspen, but I kind of bragged. It's my job to brag about Snowmass because I'm tired of Aspen beating us on sales tax and what have you. But anyway, sales tax ended up 8.8% over 2017. This is for 2018. That's phenomenal. And that's compared to only 7.7 increase in Pitkin County. So that means Aspen didn't do as well as we did. So we all need to be very proud of our village and very proud of what's going on. Our lodging tax was up 4.1% year over year. So that is a huge stride. And if I remember right, Travis, this is the first full year that we hit over 50% occupancy for the entire year.
That's great.
Entire year. So that says a lot about our lodging, and it also speaks to the hearts of our community being so welcoming to everybody and people wanting to come back. New businesses in the town. Has anyone been up to Grub Thai? That's the new Asian place up on the... Oh, come on, don't be shy. Where the chocolate factory was. I miss my chocolate. But anyway, it's a great restaurant. Straff ski shops up on the mall. My understanding is Linda got a jacket this morning when she did the Mother of All Ascensions as one of the prizes, a Straff jacket. That was not a cheap jacket. Have you been to the Limelight? Anyone been to the Limelight? What do you think?
Great.
What do you think of the ice rink? Great. Yay. And how about the Collective? Go Monday night. We've got 3 to 5 on Monday nights till the end of the March is David Dwyer. Get down there. We all know him as a phenomenal, phenomenal pianist. And then go next door and get a chocolate donut and a glass of wine. They kind of go together, red wine and donuts. But anyway, that's the Limelight, and we'll hear more about what's going on at Base Village when Peter comes. The Crepe Shack, Mawas. Anybody been to Mawas? Yep. Oh, don't be so shy. Try their hot chocolate. This is a special treat, the hot chocolate. It's not your standard hot chocolate. It is a hot chocolate. As you know, she's from the Ivory Coast. And it's the same hot chocolate that I've learned to make when I go to Haiti and do my work in Haiti. So try it. I have a secret recipe, but I don't know if it's Mawa's, but I have a secret recipe if anybody wants it. Double black noodle bar up at the Wildwood. Now that one I haven't tried, but I hear it's good. So those are just some of the new businesses. Now let's move on to one of the council objectives, and that's to increase the workforce housing. As we all know, we're building, we've got to have more employees, and therefore they have to have a place to live. So Coffee Place. This housing project is down close to the rodeo place, right next to it, contiguous to it. It will be named in honor of Joe Coffey, who was our housing director for 35, 40 years. Bill Boynell, you know back there. How many years? 35 years. And as all of you know, Bill Bueno was our former mayor and has served so much of this town and also so many boards for years and years. And he is president of the, still call it the Snowmass Wildcat Fire Department, but it's the Roaring Fork. That's
Well, I'm still president of the Snowmass Fire District.
Yeah.
Fire District. And we have joined up with the SALT. We're now a fire authority, joining the two, keep administration costs low so that we can, take care of everybody. But it's, Roaring Fork Fire Rescue Authority.
and it's wonderful. Absolutely beautiful fire department. Can they, if they come down and can they walk through the fire department? Oh yeah, just come on down. You got to see the new amenity. It's beautiful. Then our town, back to Coffee Place. You can look at the details of what is proposed on our website. That's TOSV.com. Then the town has moved forward with a contract to purchase on 250 Carriageway Apartments. And do you all know where 250 Carriageway is? No. If you ever go up Snowmelt, there's a green building on the right-hand side. That is, we have a different name for it, or I do, and so does many of us locals, but it's known as 250 Carriageway, okay? 12 units will be under contract. We're going through all the final due diligence, so that will be taken care of, and it will become an opportunity for the town for extended housing, expansion of housing. Snowmass Center, preliminary PUD application now under review. Jordan Sarek is here. Do y'all know Jordan? Jordan owns it. Stand up, Jordan, so everybody knows who you are. And Jordan and I were just talking. I know there are many issues that we're having with the, maybe you're not having any with the post office, but many of you are sending me beautiful emails. And I had my own little issue just recently with the post office, and today it was still closed at 3 o'clock for lunch. Anyway, if you have some ideas or you have some issues you want to talk about, either send them to me. I'm sure Jordan's got a lot of complaints, but it will be placed on an agenda for Snowmass Village Town Council. We talked about the post office last night, and we're considering providing employees who work at the post office to get into our employee housing program, even though they're federal employees, as we need to have locals working here in our post office. So the Snowmass Center PUD is now under review. If you have any comments, please feel to write them in. The Planning Commission will be meeting Wednesday night, tomorrow night, and that's the first meeting. Is that correct, Jordan, tomorrow night? And please get involved, because this is your community serving center. It's where everybody goes. There's a song, everybody goes. But please let us know what you're thinking. We need everybody's input. Jordan and his team have worked tirelessly to put forth a wonderful new development. Yes, there are some things that you might want changed, or all of us might change, but I'll tell you, they've really worked hard from the sketch plan. Really good job. So thank you, Jordan. We look forward to you presenting the Snowmass Center at the next PTRAB. Okay, on après ski. Well, après, is that like drink or have food? Yeah. Après ski, or après, I always say après ski. Après is with Town Council on March the 14th. That's a week from Thursday night, down at the Collective, Building 6. By the way, Building 6 is your building. It's a community-owned building. It's owned by Snowmass Village. Town Council is hosting the après ski party. We're not skiing. And yes, I am not going to get out on those ice skates. I did that, not doing that without one of those little scooters, what I call, well, old people use them to get around. And I've already used one. I've already broken my foot and had to use one of those cute little, what do you call those things? Those walkers. The walker with the tennis balls on, yeah. We will have live music. We will have non-alcoholic drinks. Sorry, it's not exactly après then, is it? Unless you want to buy your own drink. We will have a bar. We will have treats and like I said, cash bar. What we're trying to do is get input from what our residents are saying, whether you're part-time or just visiting or full-time residents here. We really, really want to know more about what you're thinking about what's going on at town. We sit at town council and we always have a period of time for public comments. It's not very often we have people coming forward with public comments. So the more we hear from you, the more we can make sure we are attending to the work of this town. So please come to that. The time is 3:30?
3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
3 to 6.
That's when the band's there anyway.
When the band is there.
You can apparate all night long.
Yeah, that would be true. You're going to stay all night long, but the band will start. What band do we know?
The Furleys.
The who?
The Furleys. They're a Celtic band from Carbondale
Oh, I know them.
to kick off the St. Patrick's Day weekend appropriately.
Well, that's wonderful.
Should be
I'm
fun.
not familiar with all these local bands. I am with some of them, but
They're pretty popular. Yeah.
yeah, okay. Well, if it's not Beethoven, I don't know what it is. Moving on. There's other things that I'd like to bring you up to date with. I know that many of you are always very thrilled when DAV comes, Disabled American Vets. We have hosted this for 19 years now here in Snowmass. I'm always honored to be one of the guest speakers on opening night, and it's absolutely awe-inspiring to look out over that ballroom up at the Westin and see 450 disabled American vets with their support teams, their support dogs, and stand up on stage and look out on that vast array of people who've given so much to this country. So I'm very honored to do that. I come from a military family, and needless to say, seeing a vet, sponsoring a vet is very important to me personally and hopefully to you. If you want to help donate, help with this entire event, because these guys have to pay it out of their pocket, there are sponsorships available. And we usually, as a town, collect about $20,000 to $25,000. There's an account at Alpine Bank where you can donate, or you can go on TOSV.com, and I'll give you the link to get to. It's March the 31st. It's that full week, the first week of April. And this year we will have plenty of snow for all of the activities. Last year they struggled a little bit, particularly with the Nordic. And we will host several of the teachers at our home for the entire week. So it's something we really enjoy doing. Well, so a few other things are going on in the town, one of which is we are changing, if it passes at council, the age for purchasing cigarettes to 21, up from 18. Aspen has done so has Basalt, so has Carbondale. And as many of you may or may not know, the number one issue we're dealing with our high school kids is vaping. I didn't even know what vaping was until a year ago. But there is a product known as Juul, and I'm sure you probably have heard about it. It was a product that was more or less built by Marlboro to deliver very high doses of nicotine through vaporized liquid for kids to enjoy and get hooked on cigarettes. Over 75% of the kids at Aspen High School have tried or are vaping. So we believe that we as a town need to join the effort to decrease the amount of tobacco consumption. Colorado is the highest state in the country now on teenage vaping. So talk to your kids about it. Talk to your grandkids. Let's not get all these kids hooked on tobacco products. Then there's the next item that we went through the first reading last night for the regulations on having retail marijuana. I think, I know PTRAB was not supportive of having retail marijuana in our town. There was 2 women on council who were very opposed, me being one of them. But We will be having retail marijuana. We went through first reading last night of the regulations. So when will we see the first marijuana establishment? Probably summer? Fall?
Fall's probably.
Probably fall. Anyway, I just don't want to make any more comments because it probably would not be smart for me to do so. Now we're going to talk about, the snow will go. We'll get rid of the snow and summer will come. Quite frankly, I'm done with all this snow. My husband's tired of shoveling and cleaning decks and what have you. We have the summer event over here. Is that a handout we can give everybody, or is that just mine?
This is for everyone. I will leave copies on the back table.
And that's where we are and what the plan is so far for summer. So grab this on the way out. This is hot off the press. And in fact, I haven't even seen it. So with that, I think I'm done.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask the mayor at this time? If you do, please come forward to the mic and allow all of our internet listeners to hear the questions. Seeing none, it's hard to believe.
Hey, Bobby, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hi, Bobby Carson. This may not be the appropriate mic because the people that are watching on the internet. This may not be the appropriate time to ask this question, so just shut me down if it's not. But are there any plans to enlarge the post office or to find a way to make it a little bit more user-friendly so we actually get our mail?
Well, we did discuss it last night at Town Council. There are a lot of issues coming forward, complaints. We've all experienced it, to include moi. It will be on an agenda on an upcoming Town Council. Jordan, can I share our conversation? He's been he wants it expanded as to, and you want to speak to it, I shouldn't speak for you.
Go ahead. I'll correct you if you say something.
Jordan and his team are working to get the U.S. government to expand the size of the post office. They were and are supposed to send him the specs, but as of the plan that's underway, he hasn't received them. And we are considering putting, it came up last night, why don't we just put some of the worker bees up in our employee housing? That's one of their issues is housing. Yeah, Bill?
And just to repeat the question, do the feds decide the size?
Jordan, you know more about this, and he's shaking his head yes. They have their standard protocols, right? Standard sizes? But
I don't know about standard, but it's not something we choose.
yeah, they control the hiring of their employees, the training of their employees, the hours of operation. I know some of you would like to go down and volunteer and help get the mail in.
But the other issue seems to be that the post office in Aspen has priority, and if they're overloaded and understaffed, they'll pull somebody from our post office, which is also understaffed.
Yeah,
so that's an issue.
Where everybody's understaffed. In fact, Aspen has been coming here, and the gal that was here for a short period of time, they shipped her. I think she's in Durango now.
But, specifically, they will pull somebody from our post office to go work in the Aspen post office.
That's very true.
We're just as understaffed as they are.
Right.
And I do have a question in this particular issue. What, if anything, can we as individuals do to address this problem?
The first thing we all need to do is unite. To send one letter to your congressman by one person probably will not have the voice that it needs. So collectively, we as a town, when the town council does the agenda item, is probably going to be what, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I'm not sure. I think the 18th of March at the soonest.
18th of March, which will be the next council meeting. This will be an item on the agenda. Please come, send your stories, send what's happening to your mail, what your observations are at the post office. And yes, they are pulling staff. Another thing we have absolutely no control. We can't even control what people get paid. Federal government determines their wages. So people that are working there make about what they do in, think of any city you went to, Alamosa. So with that, any other questions? Tom, you had an idea about the post office in terms of UPS. Come up. He's got a little workaround. Okay, Tom has a golden secret.
I don't know whether it's a golden secret or
You want
not.
to tell who you are?
Yes, I'm Tom Quinlan. I am Gary Rosenau's son-in-law. So those of you who remember Gary, we have moved in. So I was speaking with someone who, unfortunately, I forget, but had the similar problem that I had this week with the post office, in which we had specifically requested Federal Express or UPS for the packages to come through a courier delivered to the house. And so the tracking said where they were going and everything else, and the day it was supposed to arrive at the house, I get a text saying, your package is ready to be picked up at the post office. And that was the 27th. I picked up the package yesterday because on Sunday was when they finally attempted to catch up with all the packages. And none of this is a disparagement of the post office. I think they're working as hard as they can, given the restrictions that they have. But I was speaking with someone else, and they said, yes, I have figured out how to avoid that happening, because what these couriers do is they ship, and then the last mile they turn it over to the post office, and it's called Smart Post, I believe. What is it? So what this person has done, and I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to use it in the future, is when they order something that's going to be coming by a courier, they make a specific instruction to the retailer that it come by courier and not go to the post office. And sometimes there's a way to do that in the notes when you order, but she says most of the time she has to call the retailer and specify that this is not to be dumped off at the post office. And she says it's worked for her. She gets her packages. They all get delivered to the house. So that may be something that will cut back some of the volume at the post office until they're actually able to handle that volume. I don't want the post office not to get the revenue. I'm sure they get paid for doing that. But in the meantime, while we're all struggling with how to fix this, it may be an option. So I thought I'd share that.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Tom.
Yep.
Okay, and then we need to close.
Yeah.
I think we all feel the pain with the packages, because sometimes you order from someone and they don't know whether it's going to go sure post and at the end, even though they tell you it's going FedEx. We just had the same thing happen. We were told it was going FedEx, but we weren't told that it was possible, because the package would be smaller, that the last part of it might be turned over to the post office. And so then what happens is you do not have a P.O. box address on it. You have a street address, and oftentimes the post office sends it back. So sometimes it's not as easy to, wherever you're ordering from, to get them to find out how it's actually going to be delivered. And that is an issue. On Amazon, one of the things that you are able to do in most cases is list both your street address and the P.O. box. That way, depending on how it's being delivered. But it is a difficult issue with packages.
So this is 18 Buck Lane, B 5053, and so that's another tip I learned from Jim. Okay.
I'm Cleo. I just happened to be talking to my daughter in Indianapolis, who did send me a small package. And she said, you should have gotten it by now. And it was so-called rejected. Now that, exactly, just want to
Yeah.
add that.
Thank you very much, everyone. We're going to close out the mayor's portion. Thank you, Mayor Butler. We always appreciate your updates, and you're so gracious with your time. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our next speaker. He is the new CEO of the Snowmass Club, which was recently purchased. Scott Brown, please welcome Mr. Brown. Feel free to. We'll have you sit the same place the mayor just occupied. And he's going to tell us a little bit about the new Snowmass Club and what we can expect from the future on that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invite. Can you all hear me? No? No? Can you hear me? I don't know if this is on. Hello? You can hear me now? Okay. Thank you for having me. My name is Scott Brown. I am the CEO of ABA Hospitality, which is the current new owner of the Snowmass Club. I recognize some of the faces out here. I've met some of you, but not all of you. So thank you for having me. And I'm sure you've read, well, let me tell you a little bit about myself, and then we can talk about the Snowmass Club. My wife and myself and our 2 children at the time came out to Snowmass for a vacation, and we decided to spend a winter out here, and in the process had another baby and decided to stay. And when we made that decision, started looking for work. And our business is hotels and resorts and and construction. And so when we made the decision to stay, we started looking for projects that could keep us here in the valley, that sort of fit our business profile. And someone showed us the Snowmass Club, which on a hospitality as a hospitality project really intrigued us. It's a beautiful piece of property which we fell in love with. And looking at the club and the history of the club, it really spoke to us in the sense that it provided a great opportunity to really, in our opinion, take on a project that allowed us to bring something that was near and dear to so many people's hearts to back to life. And what we learned through our due diligence process is that the prior owner really didn't appreciate the 212 acres and the club and the employees, and so it became somewhat of a personal endeavor as well, in the sense that we saw a lot of opportunity with the community and the staff and the club itself. And so we're taking a position that we'd like to bring the club to 2020. It was built 40 years ago, and no one's touched it since. And so we're going to put a lot of our effort into refreshing the entire club, all the way from if you're familiar, the restaurant in the main building, that main floor, the athletic facility, which still has its original lockers, and so we're focusing all of our attention now on our service platform and our future renovations. And those will also include Black Saddle, which is open now 7 days a week to the public, and we're very excited about it. It's something we're trying to promote. It's still not getting as much use as we would like. We've got a new menu that we are really excited about. We've got a lot of great compliments. We do a lot of happy hour specials, and we still have the Nordic Center that's run out of Black Saddle, which will continue. And so we'd like to invite everyone to come down at any time and have a meal. see. As far as anything else pertaining to the Snowmass Club, one thing I'd like to reiterate, I haven't said it yet today, but I have said it in the past. If you haven't heard it from me, it's either a rumor or not true. Just want to make that very, very clear. If you have seen me quoted in an article, that's because I quoted that specific item, and so that's coming from me. But if you haven't seen me quote or be on the record with something, you can assume that it didn't come from me. So, and I'm saying that because we have, I get a lot of questions about things that we are doing that we're not doing, but that people assume that we're doing. And I've seen some articles that suggest things that are happening that just aren't happening. So I just wanted to say this isn't my opportunity to point anything out specifically, other than to say, we're very community minded. We feel very, very, very fortunate to be involved with something like the Snowmass Club, and our intention is to keep the integrity of the facility and bring it back to life. And I've got a small family that's gonna, my kids are gonna get raised here. My son's at Wildwood, and my other two children will follow his footsteps. We're a corporate sponsor of AVSC, which is a program that we've fallen in love with and seems to be part of everyone's family here if you have children. We are also a sponsor of ACES, and we love that program. We sponsor Wildwood, and we're looking for other opportunities to get involved with the community. And but we're new here, and so we're just starting this long process. So with that, I don't know if there's anything specific that anyone wanted to hear or had any questions, and if so, I'd love to answer your questions. Yes, sir.
Could you come forward, please? Thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
We're part-time we're part-time owners, but we're here a lot, but not enough to justify being a member of the club. I've used it many times, played the course, and I would just ask your consideration for either reciprocal golf from other clubs, where it's a little more reasonable to play, or maybe a little friendlier times for people that live here locally that aren't actually members, Scott. And that may be an unachievable request, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
So great question and comment. My email is scott@snowmassclub.com. Anyone who emails me, the email gets circulated with our team, and we try to respond as soon as possible. The best decisions that I think we've been able to make have been from feedback like that. So if we don't hear about it, we don't know what to address. And so if you send me an email, we would certainly circulate that with our golf pro and the other team members and discuss it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Very dramatic having to walk up here. I'm Bill Turner. Welcome to this role.
Thank you.
And I think that some of the changes you've initiated are in the right direction and are excellent, including the relationship with the Aspen Club. My question is, do you think the club can achieve its objectives without building additional housing units?
Well, with 100% certainty, the club can achieve its objectives without building anything. We have one business model and potentially two, and the business model that we have currently is to enhance the club and bring it to where it needs to be, a world-class facility, and that is our focus. And the club is profitable, And this project was financed by me and a group of individuals who are not looking to sell the club at all, if ever. So as long as the club pays its bills and accomplishes its goals, it is successful for us. If there is an opportunity to create additional residential square footage for sale units, we're going to look into it, and that would also include employee housing, which is extremely important to us, and it's something that we are looking at, and we've obviously looked at it was, when we first looked at the club, we looked at two opportunities. One was, is there a development opportunity, and is the club self-sustaining and an opportunity in itself? And the answer is yes, the club is self-sustaining and an opportunity. The development side, we're going to look at it. We're going to pursue something at some point, and it's up to the city and the council to decide, what we can and can't do. But it's not going to be anything remotely close to what prior owners have attempted to do. And I've seen the drawings. They're in my office that were left there, and I see stuff on golf course, on driving range, next to the blue roofs. That's not even on our radar.
So if I hear you right, then you feel confident at this point anyway that you can achieve your financial goals and so forth if, for one reason or another, the development doesn't get done.
Without question, 100%. 100%. We are here for the long haul, whether there's a development or not. It's not going to change. Where I live across the street, so I'm not going anywhere.
While we were on a roll here, since you live across the street, it would be nice if you found the Black Saddle parking lot and its extension so ugly that somehow you could protect or cover or encase it in the summer. I mean, you got that beautiful drive down from the mountain all the way on Brush Creek, and then you see that lot, which I understand is a long-standing tie with Skico, but that lot can contain dumpsters, trucks, buses, earth-moving equipment. It's anyway, but that's I'm sure
feedback.
You see that if you live across.
Good feedback. Thank you. I'll certainly address that. That's the first I've heard that comment. So thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
And speaking of Black Saddle, I do have one question. You mentioned it was open 7 days a week. Is that both lunch and dinner?
In the winter, in the weekends, we're open at 11 a.m. and during the weekdays at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
So in the summer, we'll be open for lunch and dinner 7 days.
Thank you. We do have more questions. Please come forward.
My name's Kathy Orton, and I live in Horse Ranch, and we are members of the Snowmass Club. I find it frustrating that often you're not able to... Oh, I'm sorry. I find it frustrating that often we're not able to get into the restaurant because it's busy because of all the timeshares. Do you have plans to expand the kitchen so that you can accommodate more diners?
Interesting. When was the last time you were at Sage?
January.
Okay. So we have we've gone so back and forth on this so many times, and it's probably our number one, close to our number one subject. And the decision we made when we closed on the club was to eliminate all of the outside agreements, because we had this comment so many times, and it's not all the time that you can't get a table, but it's during peak, winter, summer. Sure. And so what we decided to do as the new ownership group was to go back to the documents which stated that it was a members club. And so we have eliminated the Snowmass Vacation, Snowmass Tourism, East West, just recently the Aspen Club. and the only access to the Sage restaurant now is member guest, or if you're renting one of those timeshares through the affiliation that already exists, you can access Sage. We're hoping that that helps alleviate some of that pressure, and I get a nightly report every night, and the non-member access has dropped to 0 to a couple a night. So we're addressing it. I don't have plans to expand the kitchen yet, because we're hopefully, by having member access only, that problem goes away.
Okay.
And it'll just take a little time.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I thank you so much for coming and addressing, and I wish you a good rest of your winter.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, and it is the Director of the Parks, Recreations, and Trails of the town of Snowmass Village. Please welcome Star Jameson, who will talk to us about trail updates and volunteer opportunities.
Nice to meet you guys. Travis usually does this portion for me, so I was asked to come to this meeting and do it this time.
Could I have you just speak into the mic, please?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So I was asked to do this presentation on just hiking trails around the village, and I wanted to just chime in on some volunteer opportunities. The first slide that I'm going to present actually is maybe a little update for the winter, because I didn't really think about doing that. And this year we built a new groomer for the recreation path. And it's much better. If you guys have been on the recreation paths, it's much better than the previous years. Able to walk a lot easier on all the paths around Snowmass Village. Personally, I like to see people skiing on them too. I'm trying to do the connections to allow people to ski, to the post office or, up to the mall. So I'm trying to give opportunities for skiing, for fat biking, and walking, dog walking on all of our paths. The second thing that we did was the community garden, and we got the fence about 90% constructed this fall. So this community garden is located at the Little Red Schoolhouse, and we are hoping to get this going in the spring. So in regard to hiking trails around Snowmass, what I did is put together the resources that when people call me in the summertime, this is where I send them. And speaking of Owen, this is something that Owen worked on for his project. He and I worked together on identifying these trails that we have here. There's a hike Snowmass and there's a bike Snowmass site. And so I just wanted to walk through this with you guys because I think it's one of the best resources that we have. So this is online, and here's the website. You can click here to get the trail info, and as you can see here, you can pick an easy, moderate, or challenging hike. When you click on that, you get these options of clicking on your map, and you can pick the location that you want, or you can come here and pick if you know the name of the trail here, and if you click on this, it will bring you to this. It gives you mileage, elevation gain, parking information, and whether you can take your dog on the trail as well. And then even deeper into that, when you pick your route, it gives you all of this information here. this is a lot of times too when people come to Town Park Center, they get off the bus, and I help direct whoever's working there, to show people these websites, really detailed information. The other thing that we have, and this is listed on a lot of our trail signs, is Pickin' Outside. Pickin' Outside offers the same sort of trail finder with pretty much about the same information, but this is all over Pitkin County. Also on this website, which I find really interesting, is the Eco Finder. Here there's lots of studies, from anything from tree studies to watershed management or noxious weeds, and that can all be found here under the Eco Finder. When you go into Pitkin Outside and you are looking for under the Trail Finder button, this is what comes up, trails all over the county. When you click onto one of these trails, well, I'll start here, you can pick in winter or in summer. You can pick paved or unpaved. You can pick dogs, biking, hiking only. And once those come up, then you can click on the individual trail and it'll come in with similar information as the Hike Snowmass site. And here I have all that listed here. And then our website, we actually, Snowmass Recreation, we are updating our website. Currently we have all of our trails listed here, the uses that are allowed, and this is all gonna end up, we'll keep this information, but it'll end up more directing people into the current websites that we have that are a better, they provide better information, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So this is our site. On our site we have regional trails, which would cover all the way down to Glenwood, Snowmass summer trails, and you also have in here some of the maps for the Village Shuttle, the winter trails, Nordic trails, and then I included a map of everything I'm grooming this year and put it in here. Moving on. This is something that people have asked me, and I've included, I think, in some of your previous meetings, volunteer opportunities on the trails and in the parks here in Snowmass. We are having our town cleanup day on Friday, May 17th. That's a great opportunity to come and meet people in the community, as well as get a free lunch and a raffle. This year we're going to host a National Trails Day, which is on June 1st. And this is a new trail construction from the Mountain View Trail to the South Rim Trail. Some things I've talked to Travis about, and if you're a part of an HOA and you really want to form a group, just some volunteer opportunities that I've come up with are the recreation path, cleaning that, trimming limbs, sweeping, staining, staining the memorial benches. That's a huge thing for us because these memorial benches were placed, some of them up to 20 years ago, and we don't have any ties to those anymore. There was never really any records kept to them. So we'd like to keep them and keep them up to date and keep them looking great, but it's a huge process for us to do that with limited staff. So that's something I'm always looking to take volunteers for, to help stain those memorial benches. Mayfly Trail, that trail is a great little trail, but takes a lot of maintenance, and so I'm always looking for people to help out, that want to do the same thing on that with staining or trimming. Weed removal, we have our annual bag of weed program that we do at the rec center, and that gives a free recreation pass. That's an annual pass, which is worth almost $700. So if you're interested in that, you guys can contact me. And once the summer starts, it's a program that runs all summer until the 1st of September. Also, just keep an eye out in our website. I do Trails Talk bi-weekly in the summertime, and that's in the Snowmass Sun. We have multiple social media pages, and I'll be posting lots of volunteer projects this summer with our new community garden, as well as other trails projects.
Okay. All right. Do we have any questions for Star? Please come up.
I'm wondering, what are the parameters around the use of the community garden? Can you explain a little bit more about that?
We're working on that. I was actually just working on that. I've have examples for rules for that, for the garden, and I'm working on spreadsheets because the all the boxes will be different sizes, and I'm working on additional boxes that will be added. I'm doing ADA boxes. So the sizes and pricing are going to be different, and then we're going to put it in our current system that we have, which is called RecTrack, in the recreation center to be able to process those as transactions in for a yearly rental of a box. So it's all being worked on, and I'm hoping to have all that figured out by the end of the month.
Any further questions? Yes, we do.
Does this one work?
I think so.
Hello, yes, I'm Bill Bueno. I manage the Pines, one of my other jobs I do in town. Over the past number of years, Star, we've had a number of our homeowners hearing people and experiencing some bike riders coming down Terminator at an excessive rate. As a matter of fact, I almost got taken out by one, but I stood my ground and they stopped. So it's an issue that homeowners are expressing, that they're concerned that some of these mountain bikers coming down the hill from the ski area with their adrenaline high from playing on the elk camp area. Is there a way we can try to slow down and keep hikers and bikers together, or is there an opportunity to try to change this, as a few of my homeowners have suggested, making one way uphill for bikers and downhill another way? Because I sat on somebody's deck last summer, and I heard some yelling up there where bikers were coming down and hikers were walking up, and they almost got taking each other out in a very narrow area by my funicular. So it's a concern that my homeowners have asked me to express and find out and just put on the table as a concern.
With the Terminator being over, I automatically went to the Divide when you were talking.
I happen to live there, but yeah.
So with the Terminator coming off, I think that the Ski Co is installing some signs at the top that basically said leaving the ski area and coming on to off of ski area trails. Yeah. They're supposed to be putting those signs up there, and then most of those trails are under the permit of Ski Co under the Forest Service.
Yeah, because these are on Pines property, on my homeowner's property. This has nothing to do with any of the other stuff. And so one of my homeowners suggested we put a chicane up there to let people know they've got to get off their bike, and they can come through slowly. But it's a large concern, and we're trying to find every way we can to work together, but also make it aware that they've got to be everybody has to be working together.
So I presented something to Clint, actually, with some additional signage that would catch people's eye, essentially. And we've also been doing some trail work up there, so there's also ability for us to do, we put a few more curves in some of the trails to allow people not to gain as much speed.
Well, I have put a snow camera up this last summer, and I've got a few times where they're interacting with each other. I'll share with you sometime. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Star, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your presentation and the good information that you provided, as well as the great work you're doing. Thank you.
Our next speaker is from East West Partners, and he has a challenging last name, so we'll just use his first name, Peter from East West Partners. Are you here?
He's not here.
Okay.
Okay, is Michael here, our next speaker? Great. Is it all right if we move on to you, Michael, at this point? In his place, we will come back to Peter if he should come a little bit later. We have the Executive Director for the Snowmass Discovery Center, Michael Miracle, who's going to give us the updates on the Ice Age Discovery Center and his vision for the space in the Mountain Collective and Base Village. So please welcome Michael.
odd having my back to all of you since there are most of you here. Is it okay if I face you both?
As you wish. Yeah, it's no problem.
Well, I was.
Oh, yes.
Sound good? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the introduction, Debbie. You maybe overstated my importance a little bit, but I'm. Let me get this going correctly here. There we go. So I am not the executive director of the Snowmass Discovery Center, as it says on your agenda. I am the director of community engagement at Aspen Skiing Company, and I am what they are calling the executive on loan to the Discovery Center. So I don't know how closely you have been following Discovery Center's progress, but there was an executive director, Tom Cardamone, and he left. And I have been asked to step into a role to try to keep the process moving forward. And we are making real progress, and I'm going to share some of that with all of you. And so what you see on the screen, it doesn't translate great to you reading it from where you're sitting, but I just wanted you to see some of this, and I'll explain all of it to you. So don't feel like you need to try to read the tiny words up there. What is on the screen now is the first page of a 37-page exhibit concept proposal from Carolyn Harris Consulting and Studio Tectonic Design. And these are real museum-making professionals. Carolyn did the Dallas Holocaust Museum, the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, the National Center for Civil and Human Rights in Atlanta, the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte. A NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte is like a big important thing, as you can imagine. And then Seth Frankel, who is the principal of Studio Tectonic, who is working in partnership with Carolyn on this project. He designed the NASDAQ market site in Times Square in New York City, the Sierra Leone Peace Museum, the Niagara Falls Underground Railroad Heritage Center, and several others. And the point being there that these are real professional museum designers that we have brought on to help us bring the Discovery Center concepts to life. And one of the really great things that has come out with working with them is that they brought kind of a fresh set of eyes to the potential of the Discovery find. And what they said to us from the beginning was, this is just a remarkable story for you to tell in Snowmass. And I think because the find itself is getting to be a little while ago now, maybe we've lost sight of that a little bit. I don't know how many of you got up and were involved with the dig, but it was a world-renowned fossil find. It really was remarkable. So they've kind of helped breathe some enthusiasm wind back in the sails too, just reminding us of how extraordinary this was. So I'm going to just talk through their concepts a bit, just a handful of them. I'm not going to go through all 37 pages, but and then give you kind of a sense of where we are in the process of bringing that to life. So I am going to read this, which is this is their kind of their big idea, which helps frame everything. Through amazing effort and collaboration, perfect site conditions, and extraordinary circumstances, scientists from all over the world, joined by many Coloradans, unearthed an unexpected and unparalleled discovery right here in Snowmass. It tells us as much about our changing environment today as about earlier life in the dynamic Ice Age period that, in geological time, occurred in our very recent past. That big idea is kind of that what they use to frame everything that follows. And their hope is that, and I'll continue reading here, through impressive artifacts and engaging media interactives, visitors will be wowed by this captivating story, which is deeply relevant to our impassioned community and the world. Now, this is sort of their their theme idea, and there are three themes that all of the exhibits are built around. And then this kind of gives you a sense of sort of the thematic flow, how one theme informs another, and how the themes are not isolated, but they are a theme can be within the bigger theme. So the themes are the dig, which attempts to capture the breadth and magnitude of the discovery and the science involved in discovery. The Pleistocene, which is the physical and academic related discoveries made during this area, and Pleistocene is just a sort of a sciencey term for an ice age. And climate as being ever present and ever changing in the storyline. And then the circles and ovals that you see within the circles there are the specific exhibits, and then the movement is how people would flow through the exhibit space. I apologize for the poor cropping here, but these are just, I'm going to give you just a taste of some of the exhibit concepts. So this would be potentially in the entryway, and it would be just a freestanding interactive there where you see the person standing at what looks like a kind of a lectern. And then you would turn a dial that would allow you to scroll through the 68 days of the dig. And in 68 days, 22,000 fossils were found. And that's a fossil every 1.8 minutes, which is just a remarkable find. And then as you do that, projections of the specific fossils that were found start to illuminate all around you, on the floor, on the walls, on the ceiling. So you sort of slowly get a sense of this, sort of the enormity of this discovery. And it's appealing because, one, it just is a reminder of, wow, this was incredible, but also sort of pulls other people in. And the takeaways that they hope people have were mainly that amazing things were found here, and a huge diversity and volume of bones were found in this compact area the size of 2 football fields. This would be somewhere kind of in an early, if you can see in the lower left there. So if the visitor flow goes from sort of clockwise and you enter from the left, this would be an early one that you see, which is kind of a recreation of the Laird dig site, where you're seeing bones, you're seeing them in the earth and in the layers of earth as they were found, and then they're brought to life by interactive. Some are videos of the dig. Some are kind of information about the creatures that were found. And then as you look from left to right, that the bones slowly start to form a fully articulated mastodon. So you can see that how the individual bones ultimately are representative of a creature that will take shape in a more recognizable form. This is a climate piece, and this points to one, I think, great way they've also chose to frame the exhibits, which is very much tying them to place. So there's science, and there's stuff to geek out on, but it's also, they really want for people to walk through this experience and then step out into the Snowmass of today and really see the connection. So this is a good example of that. So this would be a kind of a topographical map of Snowmass. So you would look down and you would see the Snowmass of today as if you were flying overhead in a helicopter. And then these rings allow you to, when you place one of these rings over the display, it will take you back 70,000 years, 120,000 years, 500,000 years. So you can really get a sense of the changing landscape that you go out and play in today. And one aspect that they're trying to convey with that, which I think is, let's see, no, sorry, is that in geological time, if if the Earth were 24 hours old, if the entire Earth's history were in one day, this last ice age period that the discovery gives us insight into would be less than 1 second ago in time. So in geological time, it's very recent history, and they think that's important, an important climate message to convey, that the different eras of discovery that the find represented, because there were mammoths and mastodons both found, and they were not alive at the same time, sort of helps convey the scale and pace of climate change, and will help illustrate the rapid period of climate change that we're in right now. And then this is the last little exhibit piece I'll show, which is one that Carolyn Harris, who's one of the consultants again, I really like the way she describes displaying the fossils in a jewel-like fashion. So this is a really, they're beautifully preserved, displayed, they're dramatically lit, and this is something that people just don't get tired of, looking at something that is tens of thousands of years old. And there will be interactives where you can take an iPad and aim it up at one of the fossils, and you can see that animal come to life. So there's a lot of interactivity here, and those are 4 of more than a dozen examples of really interesting exhibit concepts they've come up with. So, and then in terms of where we are in the process, we are shooting for a fall of 2021 opening for the space, which as of today, we plan to have in the entirety of the downstairs space of the collective building. And we've worked closely with East West on this, and they have been tremendously supportive and helpful of our navigating this process and bringing it to life. There's still a lot of work to do. We have to do fundraising. We've got some money committed, and the town has I think made a really wonderful commitment to seeing this come to life. But we're looking to grow the board. If any of you would have any interest in being a part of this, you can connect with me, and I can connect you with the president of the board, John Rigney. And we're going to be working hard and fast, but we're feeling really good about where we are, say, relative to where this project was just even 6 months ago. So with that,
can we, yes, does anyone have any questions for our speaker on this subject? Please come to the mic.
It's just a very short question. I understood that a lot of the bones, or whatever you call them, went to Denver and other museums. Now, are these just going to be artificial, built to look like the originals?
That's a great question. So in some cases, they will be replicas. Like, so for example, in this instance, they will more likely be replicas. But in this instance, they will be the real thing. So we had an hour-long conversation with the vice president of partnerships for the Denver Museum of Nature and Science this morning, and talking about how that's going to work. And that's one challenging aspect of doing a museum that is going to display bones and fossils at this elevation, is that there are very strict humidity and security requirements to display these. And the humidity requirement is hard enough in Denver, and we were originally looking at trying to hit the humidification requirements for the entire building, but it was basically impossible to if the doors were going to be opening, you'd need an almost sealed off building to meet the humidification requirements for fossils like these. So that's why these would be in a case where that humidification requirement is handled just in a glass box that the bone is in, versus in the entire room. And that's also part of what dictates that some of it will be replica and some of it will be a rotating loan of fossils from the Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
Any further questions? With that, I want to thank you so much for the update. It's very exciting. I'm really happy to hear the update. And good luck on the project. It sounds
Thank
really
you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate
very, very enjoyable. Thank you so much. We have received word that Peter from East West is coming, but we're going to put him last in line. I understand Dwayne Romero is here, and let's move on to Mr. Romero.
Is that your computer?
It is.
Travis, can you?
Yeah, we can just.
Travis, can you be my Vanna?
Of course.
Can you like plug that baby in?
And just so everyone's on the same page, Mr. Romero is part of the Romero Group, and they are the new owners of the Snowmass Mall. And Mr. Romero is going to give us the update and future plans for the mall. So thank you for being here and welcome.
Last and least, right?
There will be one after you at this point.
That's it right there. Where's my control?
Clicker is right there.
Clicker right there. You want to go ahead and get in present? You are the best. Oh, shucks. Check that out, right? We just won that. We won that 50 years in a row. Look. Man, it's a slow crowd today. Shit. All right, so
I do just have to ask you to use one of the mics because we've got the internet
can I
link.
go ahead and can I do this? I cannot stand presenting from
Go right ahead.
the seat. I'm better on my feet. Military training, right? Better from military training. So, hi, I'm Dwayne Romero. I'm with the Romero Group. We are, depending on your perspective, the lucky fools, or maybe, the investors' brilliance to own now the Snowmass Mall. The Snowmass Mall has been around for 50 plus years, and 50 years running, it's the most favorite mall in all of Snowmass Village. And I say that with a little bit of fun and jest, but the point of the matter is this. The mall has been kind of the character and the personality, the heartbeat and the blood since Snowmass was a resort. And today, obviously, it's a town, and it's got a bit of a legacy, and it's got a bit of a heartbeat. So what we're thinking about and what we're trying to focus upon is giving the mall that moxie back and giving it that kind of that identity and that street cred again. I mean, let's be clear. What's going on in Base Village? By the way, the Base Village presentation has yet to come. This is going to really be bad. I'm over here talking about duct tape and belly wire, and then there's going to be this beautiful presentation of all these gorgeous buildings and obviously a lot in progress. And I say that with 110% of respect and dignity for what they're doing. I mean, we very much appreciate it. But what we're talking about is, frankly, what space does the mall, and I don't mean literal space, but I mean in the marketplace, where does the mall stand? It's not corporate. It's not, big brands. It's not big box. What is it? It's independent. It's small business. It's startup, it's rugged, and we'd like to think it's kind of cool. And by the way, when's the last time you heard a marketing presentation on behalf of the mall? Literally. Tell me what the brand looks like of the mall. By the way, it looks just like the town of Snowmass Village. There is no identity to the mall. Look at that. Look, see that?
Yeah, I've got
It
one.
looks just like the town, right? Because it is. It's the brand for the town. So, really, for the last quarter of a century, the place has just been. And by the way, it has not been invested. It has not been cared for. It has not been attended to. It's not been advocated for. It's not been supported. Blah 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 blah. All that's true, and I know this firsthand. Was part of one of the owners of the last, cycle. The related companies, and I'll be straight up with you. We allowed leases to go from long-term to month-to-month. Why? I mean, it's pretty logical. If you're looking to redevelop the site, you don't want to have a lot of long-term leases stand in your way. It's straight up business. It's clean. There's nothing illegal about it. It's not even unethical. It's just business. It's just business. And so you stop advocating for it. You stop marketing. You stop promoting it. You stop supporting it. That happened 20 plus years ago. Quick question. How many part-time residents are in the room? Okay. All right. Pretty good crowd here. Who has owned here for more than 30 years? I'm going to start at 30 because I can feel like there's some real strong. There's a couple. There's another one. Can I go to 40? Can I go to 40? It's like I'm like a auctioneer. 40 years. 40 years. Amen, brother. So tell me, do you have 25 to 40 year type of memories and legacies of the mall?
I remember from 95 because that's when I showed up.
Okay. Who's got a memory that goes back to the 70s?
My wife's.
Amen. Attaboy, she still loves you too. So I see, ma'am. So right. So does any of this make any sense? Because if it doesn't, you could throw your shoe at me. I don't care. It's perfectly fine. But I think we're on to something. Does this make sense? Finding some of that kind of that identity, that moxiness, and that kind of rugged independence. Kind of like, we're going to be a little bit fun and make fun of ourselves, but we're also going to make fun of somebody else. And at the end of the day, we're going to create a memory. Does that resonate?
It does, but what was then is not what is now.
Amen. But the one point of continuity, and I got the statistics to support that, is the following. Watch this. When we bought it, June, so it's not like, hey, we've owned it for 25 years. We've owned it for 38 minutes, essentially, right? So we've owned it for a little bit of time. But when we bought it, it was 47 tenants. 2/3 of those tenants were month to month. Month to month. So think about the psyche of, you said, what was then is not now. And I'm going to give you some of the reasons why. There's a disconnect here. 2/3 of the tenants were month to month. Where's the psyche of that tenant? Am I going to put any more capital improvements in my site? Hell no. Am I going to put any renovations in the space? Hell no. Am I going to worry about kind of investing in my employee base for the long term? Hell no. Right? No. Right? So, and then here's another data point. How many corporate tenants do we have? Corporate being defined as 3 or more storefronts on the globe. Corporate. That's a really low standard, by the way, for corporate, but I'm going to go ahead and use that standard. Back then, a lot. Today, ready? And so that's not a liability. That's not a liability. That's actually, in our view, it's an attribute. It's rugged independence, it's small business, it's entrepreneurialism, and I'm going to tell you right here, right now, you're not going to see a slideshow that tells you about here's the redevelopment of the mall. We're going to redevelop the mall in the next 3 to 5 years. We're just not going to do that. We're not going to do that. What we're doing is investing, catching up on, hopefully, over the last 25 years of lack of support, advocacy, promotion, coaching, and physical investment. We're going to try to catch up with that. And we're not talking about all the exterior, the 4 walls that make up all of our spaces. We're focusing on the interior spaces, all the landlord obligations that were born in these leases. Thou shalt take care of the infrastructure, the utilities, that had not yet occurred. In fact, hasn't occurred for, like I said, 2+ decades. So our focus is literally an eco-devo focus. That's short speak for economic development, business development, trying to rebuild relationships, trying to rebuild trust, trying to rebuild confidence, not with the tenant, not with the customer base, literally with the tenants. Broken relationships, broken trust. And by the way, we've already had some group meetings where, when's the last time you think a group tenant meeting occurred up at the mall? I know this firsthand from the Gene Taylor family. They said never. We've done 2 so far in the last 8 months, just to bring them together and let them kind of connect a little bit and, frankly, give them some airtime to express some of their venom, literally, right? Just to give that back to us. So those are all the focal points that we are literally, working hard on. And so you don't see major, beautiful slides and redevelopment plans. We're not doing that. We may look at structural improvements and some renovation just big enough as the attitude of the comp plan, just big enough as right? It's like, it's not 5-story buildings. It might be some discrete, appropriate, consensus-driven small projects. And I'm going to tell you this too, for the business minds in the room, our equity investors are not structural, private institutions. It's not public, private equity shops or anything like that. It's nothing. It's friends and family. And the entire lot has either residency here, Snowmass or Aspen or the Upper Valley, or at least has some connection in some form of ownership. Not, hey, my brother-in-law has a condo and I visit a few. Actual ownership over decades. Make sense? Easy breezy. So, our biggest amount of effort is trying to re-identify, to create a new identity that captures all this moxie, captures all of this kind of street cred, and we're focusing on where do we play with, the branding of it first and foremost. Does this work?
Is it not working?
It's not working. You're leaving me hanging. Does this even work either? Am I just holding this up? Am I just holding this as a prop? Doesn't work. We can just do it here, right? I've only got 5.
It is working, actually.
What?
The mic part is working. Yeah, I just confirmed.
Roger that. Bingo. So, Mall 2.0. Which one? Yeah, there we go. That's going to be forward. Roger that. Sorry. It's all good. So, playing into the identity, we were talking about trying to bridge the gap between what was then and what is now. So we think there's going to be some tone and some signaling and some messaging from what was happening in the past of all the great kind of locations of ski resorts. But we don't want to get too kind of, gimmicky, is a lack of a better term. So we're just kind of thinking about imagery and trying to think about how we move from this look like the town of Snowmass Village to something that's going to express it. So I'm just giving you some imagery of where we're headed. And this is truly just a work in progress. Right now, it's just we're working with a local firm, again, another startup shop, Myers-Roberts. They're right down in the Snowmass offices, 300 meters from here. And working with just trying to kind of, how do we move the identity? If we move in the identity and create a new brand, then we're going to start kind of propagating that with our tenant base. And then someday we're going to start actually working with consumers. Again, it's humble pie, but it's literally working from where you can start with your relationships first. We think building better relationships with the tenants and getting more of that business kind of passion and some real strong efforts together, it'll follow for customers to come and visit us. There's some more images. Mm-hmm. And then here's a picture of today of what we own. To make sure you guys understand, we only own the commercial aspect of the mall. And everyone knows there's so much more that makes up the mall. The entire Weston complex, which is up in the northwest corner of the graphic. And then the conference center and the Wildwood, we don't own any of that. Nor do we own the ticket pavilion, which is the southwest corner of the big old timber mill building. We don't own that. That's owned separately. So again, we're coming from humble positions. We don't have the destiny to kind of change the world up there. So our focal point is essentially center of mass to the right, to the east, to the right on the map. There you go. Somebody's got a graphic. They're giving me some credit there. And within that universe, that's 47 tenants. And that's what we're focused upon. And so what we're doing, when we bought it, 80,000 square feet, 15% vacancy. Obviously, that's 12,000 square feet. Today, it's 6,000 square feet. We've cut it in half. Not the best, but it's definitely a bit of progress. It includes places like, let me think here. We got a landscape and architectural firm up there. We got Strafe. Who's familiar with Strafe? Thank you. This is cool. That's actually pretty cool. A high-end, locally started, Aspen, two brothers, Aspen High School graduates just a few years ago. They're absolute demons on the mountain. They're huge athletes, And they said, we got to create some high-end apparel. And so the second strafe shop is now at Snowmass. They got the other one, their flag store is over at Highlands. Actually, they're doing really well. And they would have thought initially, like, oh, crap, our product line, high-end performance clothing, it's not going to line up with Snowmass. Like, what, are you kidding me? 3,300 acres and the most diverse terrain of anywhere in North America. Think about it. We're blessed with that. So they're a perfect brand, identity, startup, entrepreneurial, independent, rugged. They fit. They fit. Foot Foundation. We got some guys taking care of footbeds. Way to go for tennis and for football referees that are on the football field there. Jace, there we go. Grub Tie. You guys remember where Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory was? Have you been to? Who's been to Grub Tie? You son of. Okay, so all right, so everyone's invited to Grub Tie tomorrow, and I tell you what, I'm going to call the owner and get you guys up there. I'm going to call the owner tonight and say 20% off to anyone that says, "Come on, hey, I went to the PTRAB meeting. I want 20% off right now." By the way, the largest ticket item is only $15, so it's not that big of a give back. But they have authentic Thai food, not by somebody from Cleveland, but the wife. This is a husband and wife team that started Grub Thai. She is from Bangkok. She has her niece and her nephew in from Phuket. I'm sure some of you guys have been to Thailand before. They're doing authentic Thai, noodle bowls right now, $15 or less. Please, 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 please. Get up there.
Putting that in the minutes, just so you know.
Please,
the 20% off.
And the 20% off. I better start dialing for dollars.
It's recorded.
I love it. Grub Thai is the old Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory space. So you go in, who's got the pointer? Who's got that?
Right
who's got
here.
the okay. You know where it's at?
Yeah.
Right?
It's by the bottle shop there.
Yeah, you're right. Stop it. Did you hear that? Scott said, oh, Base Village. There's plenty of parking up there, and after a certain time frame, it's wide open and free. And you can even park for 60 or 90 minutes. I mean, how long do you need to eat a noodle bowl? It's going to be pretty good. Okay. We have engaged co-working. I mean, okay, who's familiar with the shared office space, the co-working model? Please, everyone, just raise your hand. I mean, come on, it's obvious. It's happening. It's WeWorks. Think about that. Think about these platforms that I think it's actually going to be a revolution across the planet to repurpose and reutilize and better utilize square footage of office space that exists in a lot of the commercial business districts across the globe. This happens to be 5,000 square feet above Strafe, which is the old Discovery Center. Michael Miracle's all pissed off, so he's leaving now. All right, so, but above the old Discovery Center and above Gene Taylor's is 5,000 beautiful square feet. It's beautiful because Related spent $3.5 million buffing it out as a real estate sales center back in the day. And I was floored, but they did it. And it's now a beautifully converted shared office park. And so, or shared office space. So think about a membership model where you don't have to have thousands and thousands of dollars to sign up a long-term lease. Think about what it costs to sign up a long-term, any lease. First rent, last month's rent, 1 month security. Got to go ahead and get all your utility bills signed up. You got to get to all your Comcast lined up. You got to do all that effort before you sit down and do 1 day of work in the space. This engaged co-working erases all of that. It just says, look, you want to sign up? Tell you what, for $99, you can come in for a month and just try it. If you want to sign up to a dedicated desk, it'll be $249 for the month. And you're going to do all of that on your handheld. If you want to take a dedicated private office, that's $749, 1 month commitment. In the space, conference rooms, Wi-Fi, private spaces for, if you need to get a private call, kitchen, showers, lockers. It's actually a pretty good deal. It's actually a pretty good deal. Who?
It's like a club.
Yeah, it feels. In fact, it's a membership model that you do it on your handheld. You never sign anything. It's pretty. Why are we doing it? We're doing it to try to drive more vitality, bring more bodies, and create more body heat into the mall. It's that simple. So, I've taken too much time. I apologize. We're still waiting for Base Village to talk about the shiny new nickel.
Oh, he's here.
He's here? Sorry. Okay. Eco Devo, we talked about energy support. I want to leave you with this. Humbly stated, our team has a lot of experience up here, but we're not arrogant enough to think that we know it all. So if you have feedback, if you have insights, if you want to bring some new ideas and energies to us, we're a big open sponge for that. And I say that with all sincerity. We have offices up at the mall. We also are the managers of the Capitol Peak Association. Some of you may own Capitol Peak Condo. And so we just want to make sure that you understand that this is a work in progress. And it's, again, I think Snowmass was founded on a lot of fun and recreation and spirit and camaraderie and fellowship. And that's what we're trying to do day to day. Right. And we're not too, ashamed of it. Please, sir.
Oh, could you come to the mic, please?
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
thing may not work. Oh, it does work.
Trust me.
First of all, Dwayne, my name is Bert Folman, and I do work in this industry too, the commercial real estate side. I, number one, thank you. Number two, commend you and your group for having, obviously, the entrepreneurial you-know-whats to undertake this. And so we wish you well. You'll have the support, I'm sure, of everybody. And there's room for all of it, I think, which is the mall, which is the base village, which is what's going to happen at Snowmass Center. It's just going to enhance this community phenomenally. And the good news for you guys is it'll probably raise your real estate values.
That's true.
Two words that the mayor will remember, and many of you will remember, called that you should get or recreate, and it doesn't have to be called this, Paradise Bakery. We all remember Paradise, and it was a great draw.
It was.
And well, I understand.
Snowmass Bakery, if you remember.
It became Snowmass Bakery, and you can recreate it.
Amen.
And you can find an entrepreneur to do it.
Thank
And
you.
it'll help you draw people to the mall.
Thank you.
Yes,
Chuck, you got to have something back there to throw at me, right? I can see you back there.
Any other questions? Seeing none.
Done, right? It's free.
Okay, thank you so much. We really appreciate that update. And good luck to you in your business. Our final speaker is Peter from East West Partners, who's going to give us the update on the Base Village Progress Report and let us know what the next 12 months has to offer to us. Welcome, Peter. Thank you.
We're having too much fun up there. Mardi Gras party and the whole thing.
I bet.
Do you want to wear a mask for your presentation?
I should.
I'll let you.
Will this work with the PDF? Yes, it will. Sweet. Perfect. All right. And do I need the mic?
Yes, please.
All right. So we were here last year, and my name's Pete Gergen. I work with East West Partners. I've been fortunate enough to be here in Snowmass for a couple of years since we acquired Base Village back in December of 2016. And I've been the CFO of our office out here and was here last year presenting to you all about the same time. And I think the main thing that you'll realize now is that we're actually done with some stuff up there, and it's pretty amazing. And so thank you. And so if you haven't yet been over to the new Base Village, it is a different place. And so some of what we've done is we finished the Limelight Hotel. It's a 99-room hotel that Aspen Skiing Company now owns. There are 11 condominium residences on top of that hotel, 8 of which we've sold. If you want a second home in Snowmass, feel free to come stop by our sales office in Base Village. And there's a building also adjacent to the plaza that we call Lumen, that there's a 4 Mountain Sports Store. It's now the main ski rental operation in Snowmass, and we also sold that to Aspen Skiing Company upon completion. And there are 3 condo residences above that retail location, in addition to Mawa's Crepe Shack, which is amazing if you haven't checked that out yet. And so the ice skating rink, as you see here, in combination with the collective, which is building 6, the community building that we have built and are getting ready to give to the town. And that was something that the Discovery Center was originally envisioned to be housed in that building, and still is envisioned to be housed in that building. And currently it's a shell space that we're kind of doing the best that we can this winter with. And so we've had piano players and speakers and aces, which originally, or at one point in time, was also maybe going to be the full tenant for that building, is involved. And we're continuing to have concerts and just different things that add to the vibrancy of what's happening in Base Village. And so we finished Limelight, we finished Lumen, we finished the community building, and we finished the ice skating rink. And we did it all, for the most part, on time. And that was pretty miraculous, because we're very grateful to, you know, our partners, and R.A. Nelson, our contractor, that, you know, they put in a lot of hours to make that happen, to get all that done from the point at which you kind of said go sometime in the spring of 2017 is a good accomplishment, and we're really grateful that it happened. And so a couple of restaurants, right, that have been added to the fold, and they're very small spaces, but they're fun and they're intimate. One is the Crepe Shack, and Mawa, who's an amazing character, she has Mawa's restaurant down in the ABC. And if you haven't checked that out, it's delicious food. The interior is not like you would find of many restaurants in downtown Aspen, but it's laid back and it's amazing, healthy food. And so she's taken all of her energy and put it into this Crepe Shack concept, and it's something that we're really excited about. And then we also have Sweet Colorado, which is down the street in Glenwood Springs, and that's their main location, but they've been tremendously successful. One of the things Dwayne was talking about is a lot of that entrepreneurial and small business energy that we too are trying to bring into Base Village. And so it's something that's happening as a whole in Snowmass, where you have successful entrepreneurs who are coming into Snowmass now and taking, you know, putting down roots and doing some interesting things. We have future projects, one of which is under construction, is the One Snowmass project. That's the one that when you pull up to Snowmass, you can't miss it at the moment. And so there are 2 buildings there. One of them on the right-hand side is going to be complete sometime, hopefully in September of this year, and that building is building 7. There are 11 whole ownership residences there, and we are now under contract on, we just went to market last week on those, or maybe it was the week before, but we are
of the 11 now under contract on the penthouse, and then 2 other as of today.
So that's great. So we're having some success selling units, and that's a good thing for us. So the next building, which is next to it, which is the larger building, is also branded One Snowmass with Inspirato, and it has 19 whole ownership residences in it, and then 11 fractional residences. And so the fractional piece is something that we still have a process to go through to work with the town to figure out exactly what that looks like, but we're getting it dialed, and that'll be something that is a different type of product in Base Village and in Snowmass that really hasn't been delivered to the market since probably Timbers did a fractional product. And so that's a good thing, and it's you know, additional, again, just an additional mix and additional buyers that could come in. And so when we talk about kind of what's next, obviously we have Lot 3 here, which is buildings 7 and 8. Those are under construction. Lot 2, as well as building 6 on Lot 3, is all complete. And then what's next? And so one of the things that we're considering is that building 13B on Lot 8, and that is the second phase of the Viceroy Hotel. And so the Viceroy was always contemplated to be a 2-phase project, and obviously there was a little hiccup along the way, And we hope to resume and finish out that second phase of the Viceroy Hotel as potentially one of the next things that we do. And when I talk about this, it's not something that we would be able to start until probably at the very, very earliest, the spring of 2020. And so everything else that's kind of between the Viceroy and the Limelight are also sites that we're doing some preliminary planning on, and they would be mostly condos, but also potentially some timeshare or some more fractional product, depending on how that goes, and something that's creating more beds in Snowmass. Building 12 on Lot 7 above 13B is also part of that process that we're going through right now from a planning standpoint. And then the last kind of thing that we have in our partnership with Aspen Skiing Company and with KSL Capital out of Denver is this Fanny Hill site, which you can kind of see highlighted right there. And it's a site that is right down from Wood Run and basically right on the Fanny Hill ski slope. And so that's something that we're hoping to build some homes on, and it's a pretty exciting spot for us. And then lastly, you know, this is probably a good thing for all of us, is that Snowmass has been getting a lot of good publicity recently. And so in the Chicago Tribune this past weekend, in the New York Times, there was an article on Snowmass. And so, you know, what kind of as a collective everyone is doing here is not going unnoticed. And so again, we're kind of grateful that things are moving in a really good direction at the moment, and happy to take any questions that you guys have, or anything that you're wondering, any suggestions about what we've done or not done. Thanks. Yes.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, in the summertime when there is no ice skating rink, what is the idea, or are there multiple ideas for that plaza? Something like a mini golf course or something like that? I'm just curious.
So great question, and we certainly have some ideas about it. And so a part of what we'll be doing is experimenting and seeing what works and what kind of sticks and what people get excited about, and also getting rid of some ideas that are probably pretty dumb. So we'll see how it plays out. But we have turf that we've purchased to be able to put down on the ice skating rink. Obviously, when it's warm outside, there's no ice, and there's just concrete underneath it. So all kinds of activities. Mini golf could be one of them that we're able to set up in some form or fashion. There could be kind of slacklining across it. There can be concerts set up. There can be yoga on the lawn. And we do have, one of the things I should mention that's another great thing is in some of the retail that's coming, and we are working on, you know, we don't have as much retail as Dwayne does up at the mall, but we are trying to create some vibrancy and some additional vibrancy in the retail space that we have in the village. And one of the things that we're going to do is King Yoga, which used to be in the ABC, which you guys might not know about. It's more of a locals thing, but a gentleman by the name of Aaron King is a great yoga instructor. He's had for, I don't know, maybe 10 years, 15 years, a yoga studio down at the Aspen ABC across from the airport, and he's somewhat of an institution. He will now be moving his yoga studio into the One Snowmass buildings in Base Village, and so we'll have a great yoga studio here in the village. But to answer your question, roller skating is something that we could play around with as well. Obviously, if we take up the turf, you have concrete, you can roller skate on there. And so we're going to experiment, and we're going to, if you have ideas, we're all ears. Yep.
Any additional questions for Peter?
Peter, do you want to bring up the restaurant that's going in and the closure?
Oh, yeah, of course. So, thank you. So in this community building, Building 6, I sort of started talking about it and then just whoop, went in another direction. So the long-term plan for that is we are master leasing that whole building, Building 6, back from the town, and then we're going to invest more
millions of dollars into building it out. And one of the things that we're going to do is build a restaurant in that space. And there's a gentleman in Aspen who runs a restaurant called Pyramid Bistro. And Martin, it's an amazing restaurant, again, more on the healthier food side, a lot of vegetarian options, fish, chicken, that type of thing. And he is doing a concept that he's calling Mix 6, and you can go online and kind of Google it and find some more information about it at this point. But it will be within Building 6. It'll have a bar. There's an amazing patio out there right now that Colorado is set up with essentially what was a shipping container that we've converted into a little bar, and they sell some donuts out of that. That will go away and move, and that patio will all be a part of this bar. And then the main concept is a more Mediterranean version of Chipotle, but very much more upscale and nicer. So that's what we're doing there. And then I don't know if any of you all come from New York City or San Francisco. There's a thing called the Color Factory, which is becoming popular with kids. And there's another thing in San Francisco, and that's in New York. There's a thing in San Francisco called the Ice Cream Museum. And these are new kind of museums and places where kids go and have a blast. And also, it's something that teenagers are involved with as well. And so we're kind of trying to take some of those ideas and create a new type of game lounge downstairs in Building 6, in a place where you guys can park kids, grandkids, whoever, for a period of hours and maybe have a little bit of peace and quiet and have a glass of wine or something upstairs. And so we think that integrates really well with the ice skating rink and the public plaza. And then we also will continue to have the flex space in that building on the main level next to the restaurant, where there will be concerts and speakers and all that type of thing. So I don't know if that makes sense.
That sounds great. We do have one more question.
Perfect.
Hi, my name's Tom Quinlan. I'm very interested in the progress that we've made, but could I ask you to put back that graphic of the Fanny Hill?
Sure.
And I'm having a hard time figuring out where that actually is going to be.
Yeah, of course. So Fanny Hill Base Village is here.
Yep.
And then the mall is right here.
Yes.
It's where Dwayne has set up shop. And so we are this site that is highlighted, and there's an aspen grove on that site, and this isn't something that we've really spent a ton of time with yet in a public forum, but we have a site plan. We're going to be beginning the process with the town on this project in terms of entitlements and that sort of thing. But really it juts out. It doesn't go into the truly Fanny Hill ski run, but it is a site that very much will be between this aspen grove that we'll maintain and the Fanny Hill ski run.
Does this impact like the Thursday night concerts, or does it impact the current flow of skiers down to the V6?
Yeah, so good questions, and not really. So the Thursday night concerts will still be able to go on, and I think right now they might do a little bit of staging and some things over on this particular site, but it's something that long term we won't have to really move the concert location. And then the ski access, so again, one of our partners is Aspen Skiing Company, and the last thing that they would ever do is provide a barrier for people to ski back to the VX or to the gondola or to Assay Hill and on back down. And so that all is going to remain a very, very skiable and open terrain.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems a pretty sharp angle on that slope for skiers coming down. You have basically a straight line coming out into the currently skiable terrain. So I was just concerned with that it's pinching off that flow, which is tight right now when people are coming out of the mall in the mornings.
Yeah, this all currently is not really, it's not supposed to be skied for the most part.
But it is.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway,
That
so
red line's just
there will be
parcel bound.
plenty of room for
All
people
right.
to ski and get by.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, we have one more question, and
Yes, sir.
I think we're getting, yeah, we'll call this the last question.
There you go.
Off the top of your head, how many units?
On the Fanny Hill site, we're looking at 10.
Okay.
So yeah, there were 10 previously approved, and we're looking at 10.
5,000 square foot.
Can't fit them on there. They'll be smaller than that.
Okay, with that, I'd like to thank you very much,
Thank you.
Peter,
Appreciate
for
it.
your updates.
Come see us in Base Village.
I'd also like to thank everyone who came to the meeting tonight and who's listened in via the internet.
I hope you all have a terrific Mardi Gras. Please find in the Base Village, the mall, or in between some good jambalaya or king cake tonight. I'm personally looking for king cake or some Thai food in the mall. Thank you again, and we'll see you at the next meeting in the summertime. Thank you.
Tonight? Tonight's free pancakes. Until 6:30.
And